Broadcast of Discuss the Bible, and lately we've been going through the book of Proverbs and doing a topical study on the book of Proverbs. And so it's been, I've really been blessed by this, but I always say that, but why not? God's word does bless us. And so I hope that you'll be blessed tonight with our study. We're down as far as our number of participants, or at least our guests, because one of our regulars, Nikki, was not feeling well tonight. And so it's just Lorene, Janice, and me this evening. So,
You get what you get.
You get what you get. How about you, Lorene? We were talking a little bit behind the scene about what's been going on for you. So without going into a whole bunch of extra content, how has your week gone?
It's just one of those times when there's a bunch of stuff all in one spot. It's life. It's the way life is, and I know it, but sometimes it just overwhelms in one big lump.
And that's the way it's been. Here lately, we had a good friend pass just this week, and a couple of days ago. Actually, a couple of days ago now. So, that's always difficult, So, let me try to get myself organized here. I got a lot of bells and whistles going on here. So, I know that has impacted you, Janice, also. So, it's a good friend of the family that we've known for many, many years. And so, but we are grateful for the hope of heaven, and we're thankful that this life is not the end.
Yeah.
Is that I just don't know. I mean, so many people, they just chug along, but if this life was the end, that would be so extremely
Right.
Disappointing and despairing. So, okay. What I'm going to do tonight is that the lesson is long, and so what we're going to do is that I think we're just going to stop about halfway through and then finish the balance of it, because last night I went through this same material with my other group, and we were only able to get about halfway through. You think we can do it all? Well, okay, we'll see. We'll just...
But then we'll be ahead of the other group.
It doesn't matter. That however that works. I got to queue up our Bible app here so that we can read from it, because there's there's a lot of Bible verses. Oh, good. So, okay. So let's just go ahead with the questions here, and so consider what Dave Ramsey says about money. It doesn't matter whether you like him or not. He does say some good things about it, and he says you must gain control over your money, or the lack of it will forever control you. And the book of Proverbs gives us a lot of insight about money management. What does Proverbs 3, 9, and 10 teach us that our priority should be with our money? It looks like Janice has that right here. You can read it next time, Lorene, the next verse. So
It's honor the Lord with your wealth, with the first fruits of all your crops. Then your barns will be filled to overflowing, and your vats will brim over with new wine.
So what's that mean?
To give God the first part of your earnings, and He will bless you.
There you go. Yeah, give God, honor Him in our giving, because after all, it's all His, and I know, and I've heard different people say, "Well, God did. I earned the money; it wasn't God." But who gave you the time? Who gave you the health? Yeah, who gave you the talent, the brain power, or the skills? And and all of that stuff. So yeah, you earned it, but God is the one who's behind it and made it possible for you to, who gave you the opportunities, you know. So and it's a shame that more people don't recognize that in their lives. How about for you, Lorraine? Anything you'd like to add?
Yeah, I mean, it's just true that we just think we did it ourselves. You know, I mean, we even say self-made man.
Yeah.
You know, we
Yeah.
even say it that way, and it's like, wait a minute. And you know, for me, I haven't been in charge of money my whole life. You know, I've been married. My husband's a numbers guy. So he likes taking care of all that. So, so I didn't have a bunch of experience with it. Never lived outside of the home on my own, you know. And so, but still, I still had to learn this because I remember I had a credit card once and I ran it up past what I could do three times. And you know, Ron always helped, and I got to the third time, and he's like, "I can't do this anymore." And it's like I had to figure out how to pay it off. It wasn't a huge amount, but for me, it was a lot. But it was more. I was spending money I didn't have, and that's the whole point, you know. And so, boy, I learned a big lesson then, and I just I am so grateful now. Like we're not in debt. We can pay cash for everything. I love it. I just love that. So I understand this, and I am very, very grateful to God for the place we're in right now, where we have everything we need and a little more, you know, and it's kind of nice.
And you guys aren't lighting the world on fire. And I'm not trying to be rude or anything like that, but you know, it's not like you're independently wealthy that you're just but you know, a lot of it is that it's not how much you earn, it's how much you keep of what you earn. And so many people, so many Americans have bought into materialism at a very deep level, and as a result they get into extreme credit card debt, and that is one of the quickest routes to financial ruin. You know, we've made it a policy. We haven't always done it, but we've made it a policy not to carry a balance on any of our cards.
Yeah, we don't.
Yeah. And
Yeah, that's what we do now. No balance.
Yeah. And we've also, and I'm not, you know, okay, I'm not tooting our horn, but we have throughout our marriage always sought to honor the Lord with our first fruits, you know, and we can testify, God will bless you in ways, you know, people think, well, he's going to bless you with more money and blah, blah, blah. And, you know, he might, but he also blesses you in many, many ways that with things that money can't really buy. You know? So
agree, totally agree.
You know, and that's one of the things, by the way, is that I don't know why it's so hard for people to get into the mindset that God is faithful. You know, because he is. You know, but you have to learn to trust him. And it's not always easy to trust him.
Well, and I think the world is constantly telling you if you just have these things, you're going to be happy. If you have all this stuff. And also they make it look like if you charge it, it's free.
Yeah. So I was watching a YouTube video last night. Actually, I was watching a few of them, you know, and so... but there was one YouTube video that I watched was 5 money mistakes that seniors make. Yeah. And let me see. Okay, I'll see if I can remember. I can remember. Oh, yeah. Okay. I think I get 4 of the 5. One is buying a boat. 2 is buying a motorhome.
Yeah.
Unless you're going to live in it, huh, Elaine?
Yeah. 3 is building a bigger house.
Oh, no. Smaller.
Yeah. That's what he was talking about, how that his parents, they built a bigger house in their retirement years, and it was a house with stairs in it.
Yeah, and then
No.
And they said, yeah.
And then you have to clean it.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
And you have to you have to heat it.
Yeah.
You have to air condition it, and all that. I don't want any of that stuff in my life, I can't remember the fourth one. I wish I could. I mean, the fifth one. But I remember the fourth one is that buying a timeshare.
Oh no.
Oh, yeah, I don't think that's really good for anybody.
No.
I remember
said,
when we were first married, it was we probably had Rusty, but not the girls yet. Maybe even before Rusty. I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
But we were going to buy a little Coleman camper trailer,
Mm-hmm.
and we actually, and I decided not to, because if you have it, you're going to use it. If you use it, you're going to be gone weekends. You're gone weekends, you're going to be gone Sundays. And Sundays was really, Sunday was really important to us and our culture and the way our family was raised. And we said, no, we're not going to buy that because it'll take us away from the things that we really want.
Tell
but we'll feel
about,
like,
Yeah. Tell them about our tent trailer that we had in our when the kids were really young.
We had a tent trailer that my dad had, and he would let us borrow it. And I think it was the first tent trailer ever made. It was a trailer with a tent on it.
I really liked it.
Yeah, it was the top of the trailer had a mattress, so that was the bed inside the tent. And then when you set it up, you set the tent up around. It was hooked on the trailer on one side and then came out over into a tent.
God.
Yeah. And you could put stuff in the little compartments on the edges, which is why I liked it, because other than a tent, you had more room to store things.
Yeah.
We had a lot of good family memories in that, and I was so disappointed when he gave it away, but it wasn't ours to keep.
No.
But yeah, that was fun. So, all right, let's go to our next question here. But so you should not give to get, but how might giving bless you?
I think we have to give. We have to learn to give. It's just something you need to learn to do, because otherwise you become super selfish. And you kind of stop thinking about what other people might want. You just kind of want to do what you want to do. So I think having kids is the biggest way to become unselfish.
Yeah.
I mean, it's one of the best ways. It's one of the best ways to become unselfish. But being grateful, I just think that's just key. Just very, very, very important is being grateful.
Yeah. How about for you? Anything you'd like to add?
I thought that it helped me to put my focus on God and not on money. And to help me not to worry so much, just to be able to help others.
Why is it so difficult to disentangle oneself from focusing on money?
Well, this world we live in, you have to have money.
Yeah. And it's always more. It's always more. You got to have more.
Yeah.
I really struggle with that more thing. I just not just in the area of money, but in other ways too. And it's like, why? You've never missed a meal ever. Why are you so worried about that?
Right.
You're gonna be.
Yeah.
But I know that when we were young, and the kids were young, we were living paycheck to paycheck and barely living.
Yeah.
I mean, just barely squeaking by. And I think about all the people now with young families, and the prices of everything is so outrageously high. The food's expensive, the gas is expensive, the rent is outrageous. If you can't afford to buy a house, it's like, oh my goodness.
Well, we did buy a house ourselves during the Carter years. No, we did, and we financed it
at like 10%.
I can't remember. It was
like
the interest rates were extreme,
But we bought a small place, you know. It's
Yeah.
not like we were like, oh, we have to have, you know, all of these
we bought
things.
what we could afford.
We wanted a place that would keep us dry and where we could live.
Yeah. Janice's dad, and I appreciate him. Two things about your dad. Well, three, actually. One is that your dad was very generous with money. In that. Number two is that your dad was a giver, you know, to the church, as was your grandma, his mom. And then number three, the only really real investment advice your dad ever gave us was buy a house. Don't
pay it off.
Don't rent, buy a house and pay it off. And that.
So you'll have somewhere to live when you're old.
Yeah, but that boy, I tell you, that was one of the best
Good
things.
advice.
Yeah, you know. So yeah, let's move on here. Proverbs 11:28, Lorene, if you'll have that, it says that those who trust in their riches will fall. Why is it tempting to trust in wealth rather than God? Let me update that text there. And see Proverbs 11:4. So read those two verses for us, please.
All right. A life devoted to things is a dead life, a stump. A God-shaped life is a flourishing tree. And then the other one, without good direction, people lose their way. The more wise counsel you follow, the better your chances.
No, is that Proverbs 11:4?
Oh, no. That was 11:14. I have it.
Well, it's still 11:14. 11:14 is a good
advice,
verse. It's a good verse, you know. So,
Let me
but
see how fast I can get to that. 11:4. All right. Sorry about that.
oh, no problem.
11:4 is: a bankroll is no help when life falls apart, but a principled life can stand up to the worst.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that's a good one. Yeah.
It is, isn't it? So,
Yeah, that's a good one.
there's been a couple times in our life when we've been laid off. And during those times that we were laid off, we had no income, real substantive or substantial income. And Janice was cleaning houses at that time. But it wasn't something that that we could, you know, run a family with,
Right.
you know. And so I remember, and I don't know on what occasion, and here again I'll have to tell you after the fact, Lorene, who this was, but we know a lot of the same people, you know. But a guy came over, and he oftentimes would bless us in many different ways. But he came over, or he said something like this once during that season in our life. I asked him how he's doing, and he says, "I have no problems that money can't fix." And you know, a lot of problems that we have, money can't fix. You know, health problems, relationship problems. You know, there's a whole host of problems that money can't fix. But he says, I have no problems that more money can't fix.
Right.
You know, and that's a pretty good place to be in. But as that passage of scripture says, is that that you trust in money and it's going to fail you. It's not the solution that you think it might be. And so, and it's crazy. I think that to a large extent is that the reason why we are so inclined to trust in money is because it's within our power, we think. Mm-hmm. And instead of handing it over to God, it's within our power.
You know? And I think that leads to corruption. You know, I think everything's going to lead to corruption when we think we just need more money, and if I get more money, because then you start compromising, And I think eventually you just get corrupt about it.
Yeah. I think many politicians are prime examples of that, you know. That,
Oh, I've been watching. It's just one of my little things. I watched the documentaries on the mega churches that have gone down,
oh, really?
Wow.
and it's all about the money. It's like, I mean, different states, different areas, different countries. It's always about the money, and I'm like, what is going on here? People in their congregation just sacrifice, and they tell them
Oh,
to
yeah. Oh,
sacrifice.
I know.
Yeah.
Spend it on $700 shoes. It's like, oh
Yeah, I know churches even in our own area
yes,
that have
yeah,
pressured their people to make major financial sacrifices, and I'm kind of this opinion. Now, I'm not saying that it's right. I'm kind of this opinion is that God blesses the giver, even if the cause
yes,
is not pure.
yeah. I agree.
And the reason why I say that is that when Jesus was sitting across from where people were putting their gifts in the temple treasury, that and the temple of Jesus' time was a completely corrupt institution. But that woman, the widow, came along and put in all of the money. She only had 2 small copper coins, it says, but all of the money that she had left to live on, and she gave it to the Lord's work. And Jesus himself said, hey, she gave in more than anybody else. I think that he also said that wherever the gospel's preached, the story will be told of her. But I might be wrong. I might be mashing up 2 stories there. But the point is that Jesus blessed her, that her heart was right, even though the temple was wrong, And and I understand why people are jaded, because there's a lot of bad press that Christianity has brought upon itself by corrupt practices, So,
Yeah, I think the churches sometimes have fallen into this whole thing with the money to where they're forgetting what the church should be, and I guess I can kind of, I mean, I've never been in a mega church, but
mega church. Let's keep it straight, okay?
But I think they sometimes lose sight of what Christianity is, and that we're supposed to be worshiping God and not just getting stuff, a bigger building, more people, I don't know.
And I've listened to preachers talk a lot about this type of stuff, and there's all sorts of kind of like stories that they'll tell themselves to justify that, and at the end of the day, that here's where I land on this. There's a passage of scripture in the book of Romans, that in Romans 15, it's like the first maybe 4 verses or so, and it says this. It says that who are you to judge someone else's servant? Now, it's either 15 or 14, but he says, who are you to judge someone else's servants? It's before his own master that he stands or falls, and the Lord is able to make him stand. So, at the end of the day, I don't know what's going to happen at judgment with people who have practiced less than a blameless lifestyle, But all I can say is that I have to pay attention to my own business. So
I really like how you brought up the point of that God's going to bless the giver anyway. Like, I just love that, because that is the God we worship. That's the right God right there. The one that blesses are the efforts of those who are giving from their hearts. That is a really good point. I really like that.
Good.
That applies to, like when we've talked about it before, like, should I give money to this person who's homeless? Because what if they're just going to take it and buy
Dope.
booze or dope or something with it, And it's like, that's really not, that's not what giving is about. You give it to them because they look hungry or you think that you're going to help them, and what they do with it.
Yeah.
It's what they just.
Yeah. So, and just by point of clarification, I'm not one that typically gives to homeless people. And that doesn't mean my position is right.
I would give to people once in a while before, but nowadays, I mean, it's really it's too scary.
And one of the things that...
It's kind of foolish, actually.
One of the things that happened to Janice just the other day is that she was confronted. And by the way, it's almost like you can't go anywhere nowadays without getting confronted by a homeless person. Mm-hmm. And at least out here in California. And so she was confronted by a homeless person when she was coming back to her car.
With my basket. And I could see this guy walking kind of down the road. And I was trying to go to the right, and he would adjust his thing. So I knew he was coming straight to me. Mm-hmm. And I had my purse and I had my basket full of stuff. And so he came up to me and asked me if I had any money. And he was really kind of dirty, and I suspect he probably is a drug addict and stuff. But in my head, I thought about giving him some money. And then I'm like, no, I'm sorry, I can't help you.
Yeah.
And then when I get home, my son and my husband are yelling at me, don't ever take your purse and your wallet out of your purse, Mm-hmm. But you don't know.
Well,
and I'm older, and he's, a young guy, and
no
one else is there.
Well, no one else is there. An older woman with a young guy brings her wallet out of her purse. She opens it up or whatever. He could have just grabbed that then and say, "Sucker."
Easily,
That and so it's best to be wise about that stuff. Now, okay, you want to give to the homeless? There's plenty of ministries that, even in our own town and city, go ahead and write checks to those ministries. They do more good than you'll ever do, helping the homeless. So, but I have to say one other thing about that topic.
What?
Is that that on the other hand, I really felt conviction about that one time. We had a friend who is he's schizophrenic alcoholic who lived a very hard life, and of course Lorene and some of the other folks know who I'm talking about. And I went over, actually, when I was giving my fifth step inventory to someone, I had literally had just finished it, and I got a call from this guy, and he says, "Pastor Kerry, come over and cut down my rope because I'm going to hang myself, or otherwise I'm going to hang myself." And sure enough, I hot-footed over to his house, and he lived in a hovel. I mean, it was, man, it was just, yeah. But so I went into the garage where he had the rope, and it was all ready to go, But he eventually got sober, and we were going out one night, him and I together, to get some pie. And there was a homeless guy at Marie Callender's on the way in, and he was begging for money. And I had money, when people ask me if I have spare change or whatever, I've never had any spare change. So, if I'm going to give them something, I'll give them out of, what I have. But I just told the guy no. But this guy, he had way less than I did, but he definitely
gave him money,
because he knew what it was like to live on the street.
Yeah.
And he knew.
He had more compassion.
Yeah. Yeah. Thanks for making me feel bad. So, all right. But, okay. Well, we got off on that tangent. But that's not a bad tangent to get off on. So,
no.
So, So read the following Proverbs. Here's what we'll do is that we'll alternate on these. So and
Read one column or the other.
yeah, we'll go across the row. Okay. All right. So what I'll do is I'll have Janice read 13:11, and then Lorene 20.
So I'll read all the ones on the left.
Oh yeah, that'd be good.
Proverbs 13:11.
Yeah, yeah. Why do you make things so simple for me?
I don't know.
You have to do all the heavy lifting, huh? In this relationship.
Yep.
So, all right. So it says, read the following Proverbs. What are some temptations to avoid in acquiring wealth? Okay.
Okay, 13:11. Dishonest money dwindles away, but whoever gathers money little by little makes it grow.
Okay. So what are some temptations to avoid in acquiring wealth?
Being dishonest.
Being dishonest, trying to make a fast buck.
Yep.
One of the things that some people don't know about me is that I worked at the University of California for over 20 years.
21 years.
And that and I was a designer on major projects where we developed curriculum for money management, and specifically for money management for the military, Army, Marines, Air Force, and so on. And so I had a pretty good sense of money management before working on that project. But one of the things that they always emphasized was essentially saving a little. You don't have to save a lot. And as a matter of fact, now we were developing curriculum for the secular market, so the idea of honoring the Lord never came up in that curriculum. But they said the first rule that they always would drum home on that is pay yourself first. No matter how small, set aside something every paycheck for savings. And that
Yeah, I wish we would have done that when we were younger, because it felt like we didn't have any money to save.
Well, we didn't really for the most part.
But, I was thinking about it, and I'm like, even if we put $5 or $10 every paycheck in the bank just to save it,
Yeah.
It would have been really hard.
Yeah, but we did very early on buy a universal life policy, which, by the way, in our money management curriculum, they said that's not a good idea.
Yeah. Yeah, you have to be really careful when you get our age with those.
Yeah, but they said what you should do is that you should buy a term life policy and invest the difference. Because if you buy a life insurance policy when you're young, a term life policy, and carry it through your working years, your premium will be low, but you won't be paying as much as you'll be paying for a universal life policy. Because a universal life policy is essentially a forced savings program too. But all right, Lorene.
Ron's been paying, our life insurance thing, and at 70 something changed. Something has changed at 70. He's like, I'm gonna make sure I get my money's worth out of it. Good luck with that. Yeah. Good luck with that.
Yeah.
You're at the age already.
Yeah. I know.
Yeah.
I know. I didn't want to just lose it, and I found, I called and I said, I don't understand all this, and so we have to pay probably twice as much a month now as we were.
Yeah.
So. Man, I remember time we were yes, I'm like Janice. I don't know how we could have saved, but there was
Mm-hmm.
one time when I remember there was no money and I had to go. I coined up all the pennies we had,
Oh,
and I went to
pennies.
the
Oh
store,
my goodness.
and we had $20, which back in the day that bought a
Yeah.
lot. But
Yeah.
I had to collect those 20 or $20 worth of pennies and take them to the store. Oh my
Oh
god.
my goodness.
Oh my gosh. But my
There's
kids,
there's two things. Pop bottles.
you know,
You take
we
them
did
back and
that
get
too.
money.
We did
And
Yeah.
that
then
too.
so
We
many
did that
times
too.
there were these little clickers that many women had back then when you'd go to the grocery store, and you would click how much the item cost, and it would keep adding it up so that you would know how much you were
Yes.
spending, because we didn't even have a credit card. Grocery
Yes.
stores didn't even take a credit card.
Yes.
And so when you got up there to pay, if you didn't have enough money, you had to take stuff out. And that was always so embarrassing.
You had to do the walk of shame.
Yes.
Go, hey lady, go put this back on the shelf.
Okay, take my cookies.
Yeah. All right. Lorraine, 2017.
Stolen bread tastes sweet, but soon your mouth is full of gravel.
Yeah. You know, we've done a great disservice to this generation by kind of teaching them, even through lax legal policies, that, you deserve whatever you're stealing,
Oh boy.
you know.
Oh boy.
Have you ever had a mouthful of gravel, by the way?
Sand. At the beach, when you're trying to eat and the wind's blowing and the bread, your sandwich,
Oh,
has
yeah.
sand in it.
Yeah.
Disgusting.
That's not nutty bread.
Disgusting.
It's not chunky peanut butter.
That's funny.
Yeah, so stolen, people, and there's a real enticement to that, because it seems like it's a shortcut to get what you want. But at the end of the day, is that the cost does not, or the benefit doesn't outweigh the cost.
So don't commit fraud. That's
Yeah.
what my Bible said.
Yeah. So, all right. 21:6.
It says, "A fortune made by a lying tongue is a fleeting vapor and a deadly snare."
I've known too many Christian businessmen who will lie, and that and it's a deadly snare. It says, honesty will you may lose a sale, you may lose a deal, or whatever, but at least you can put your head on the pillow at night. So, but where are we? I'm lost. 23:4.
4.
Okay.
Don't wear yourself out trying to get rich. Restrain yourself.
Yeah. Okay, that's a good one. So this passage of scripture says, "Don't be a workaholic."
Or don't trust in your own cleverness, one of mine said.
Yeah. So now this is a passage of scripture as far as workaholic. I'll firmly admit it, is that I have to kind of guard against being a workaholic, but it's not because I am trying to wear myself out to get rich. Because no matter how much I work, I don't get paid anymore. So yeah, and just how we do church here at Compass is that I work on a contract. I'm essentially an independent contractor, but I get paid a contracted rate, and there's no overtime, and I have absolutely no access to church money. I'm spending it and all of that stuff, So other people handle it. So, but but yeah, don't. But even at that, I have to kind of be. I have to guard on against being a workaholic, right?
Mm-hmm.
You know. So
But it might even be don't overwork for power. Don't overwork for influence. Don't
yeah.
there's
Yeah.
it could
Hey,
be money.
hey!
Literally.
Wait a minute! Wait a minute! Wait a minute! At Compass, I'm not overworking for power or influence.
Or don't wear yourself. One of the ones I was saying, don't wear yourself out. You
Yeah.
know, like, you gotta have a little fun sometimes.
Yes,
Like Elaine said, it's exhausting.
it is. It is. So
I would kind of rewrite that to say don't let anything own your soul. Because I know
Yeah.
there's like I even know like with Rusty what our son watching him work his way in the corporate world. Like one of the jobs that he had, they literally said we own you. So we're going to call you on the weekends, we're going to call you in the middle of the night. And he just I remember one time he said nope. And he said I'm turning my phone off at blah blah blah. But I
yeah,
mean, even so a company does not own you. I don't care what they pay you. You know,
yeah.
they don't own your time. You know, so I like the principle of this verse.
Yeah.
You know,
You know, one of the things that I tried to do. Now, I don't do this well.
Quit looking at me.
No, we're talking.
Okay.
We're having a conversation
I
here,
know.
and also with Lorraine. Okay.
Okay.
All right. So, but I don't do this well. But a few years back, I really decided, not because it's a religious thing, but I thought I really need to observe the Sabbath, and just take a day off. And I try to, from Friday night at sundown to Saturday evening at sundown, not do church work. Now, sometimes you just can't avoid
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
But I really try to discipline myself. And sometimes I get so caught up, because some of it I really enjoy and I have fun doing it. And, so, but I found that creating those margins in my life has been helpful. All right. 28:6, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Better the poor whose walk is blameless than the rich whose ways are perverse.
Yeah, and that idea of perverse, we hear it, and we think of sexual perversion, but the concept of perverse means whose ways are crooked. And so you're taking crooked paths. So read it again, please.
Better the rich who whose walk is blameless than the wait. Better the poor whose walk is blameless than the rich whose ways are perverse.
Okay. Now, and if you've come to church at Compass, you've heard me talk about being blameless, and I mentioned it earlier in our broadcast tonight. Anybody can be blameless. It's one of the simplest things. It's not simple. Yeah, it is. It is. It's simple, but it's not necessarily easy.
There you
And
go.
the way that you are blameless, a blameless person handles their wrongdoing the right way. They don't blame somebody else. They own their stuff. They repent and they apologize. They make amends when they've done wrong. They seek to grow, and so on and so forth. So anybody can be blameless. They just handle their wrongdoing the right way. And he says, if you're poor and your walk is blameless, you're better than somebody who's rich, but they're crooked. So yeah, I've known some rich people who are people of integrity.
Yeah.
And I respect them for it. I know one guy. You wouldn't know it. You wouldn't know it to look at him that he had any money. Serious. But he's extremely generous. and he's just a smart businessman, you know. And God has given some people the gift of making money,
Yes.
you know.
Not me.
Me either.
Yeah, or me. Yeah, really. Yeah, okay. All right. And finally, Proverbs 28:20.
Okay. Committed and persistent work pays off. Get rich quick schemes are ripoffs.
That's right.
So true.
Yeah. That's why I don't play the lottery.
So true.
But it's just another way to throw your money to the government, and they take far too much of my money anyway. You know.
Yeah.
So, hey, I think we're going to stop there tonight because we've gone 45 minutes, and we can pick up and go through the balance of the study next time around and do that. Lorene, anything that you'd like to say about money, life, pass along any good wisdom for us before we wrap up?
I like that I can go to the grocery store now and I can buy whatever I want.
I know, don't you feel rich?
I do. I do.
I can pay the bills and there's still money left over.
I told my kids it was such fun when we got to buy the good paper towels. Growing up, we didn't even use paper towels because they were too expensive.
Yeah. You know, a couple of my pet peeves, and one of them is going to restaurants that have napkins that
you need 50 of to get through a meal.
I'll have a mound of napkins. I don't think that they save any money.
I don't either.
Because you're just going through more.
Instead of using one, you use
50.
10.
Yeah. No, really. I'll have a mound of my.
Yeah.
You know. So but yeah. So how about you, Janice? Anything you want to say about money, about life?
No.
About marriage?
No.
Oh, bummer. So, Lorene, thank you for being so steadfast with this, and that's not a dig at Nikki because she wasn't feeling well tonight, and so and I appreciate her life and Val's life. They are really a valuable asset to our church. And
we miss you, Nick.
Yeah, Nikki, I hope you're watching. So but if not, I hope you watch the replay because
she might have a hard time watching if she's not feeling well.
I know that. I understand.
Later.
Yeah. Okay.
But Elaine's been with us tonight.
Yeah, Elaine and Henning. Yeah, just another couple who are just
steadfast.
Salt of the earth folk.
Mm-hmm.
We miss you guys too.
Yeah, because they really are. There's certain folks in your life that your life is better because they're in it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And Lorene, you're one of those.
Oh, thanks.
No, you are. And your husband.
Shucks.
and your husband, Ron, too.
He's the napkin hoarder.
Is he?
So is our daughter.
All right. We have to, before we sign off, we got to tell one story about our daughter and Jam.
Oh.
At the restaurant.
Carrie's mom was horrible. I never had met anyone like this woman in my life until we got married. And we go to restaurants and she would take anything that wasn't nailed down. Like she'd fill up her pockets with all the cream, the sugar, anything, And so my kids, of course, being young and everything, we were on vacation with them. They learned from their grandma. And so we're in Yosemite hiking around, and Karen's wearing her little pink fluffy jacket, and there's this weird looking stuff on her jacket. I'm like, what is that? And she had stuffed grape jelly packets in her pocket, and they came open and were leaking all over her little pink coat.
She's lucky she wasn't eaten by bears.
I know.
Serious.
Yeah. We got some stories. I have some stories I could tell about my mom. Maybe we'll save that for next time.
Yeah.
And she is a wonderful person, a little bit quirky.
Yes, she was.
Yeah. So, all right. Well, we're going to go ahead and sign off. Let me just wrap this thing up here. Okay. We'll see you next time, Lorene. And thank you, folks, for joining us this evening for the broadcast. And I hope that you can join us this Sunday. Now, I'm starting a whole new series at church on the life of David. And we're going to be launching that this Sunday. And so I just hope that you can watch, and you can catch us anywhere that you found us here tonight. And so I just hope that God blesses you abundantly the balance of the week. That's it for now. We'll see you next time. Bye-bye.